Okay, Yesod. This is where we're up to Yesod. Sadiq Yesod Olam. Yesod is a different kind of midah, a different kind of energy that's coming through. We're Hoid today in Eretz Yisrael. We're on the 40th day. And you're on 39. You're Netzach of Hoid. And we're Netzach of Yesod. And we're Hoid of Yesod. And Yesod is different from all the Sefirot that came before it. It's different from all the Sefirot that came before it. This is a secret of Lag BaOmer, is a transitionary day from the first part to the second part of the sphere. All the spheres are individual energies. They have individual powers, individual gifts, individual contributions. But the last of the sphere, in some ways, according to the Kabbalists, is actually the middle of Hoyt last week. The middle of Yesod, the word Sod Safei Kodesh, literally means to gather and collect. To gather and collect, to assemble, it says in art school. Siddha, to assemble. So what it does is different from all the other sefirot, which are each in its own power, each of their own strength, each of its own color. It's the assembly, it's the gathering together and the preparing of everything in everyone in order to bring that to fruition. The image that comes to mind right now is back in my theater days. I used to be an actor, I used to be a director. And it's that sense of you're preparing your parts, you're preparing lines, you've done the rehearsal, but just before you go on stage, everyone gathers in a circle, everyone plays a trust game, everyone sings together, and you're bringing everyone's together and everyone energy before you go out to fully express, to fully reveal, to fully manifest the vision. So Yesod is about taking all your strengths and all your joys and all your blessings. It's a code word. The code word of Sod is a word shalom. Shalom as a kinoi is a code word for peace. Sorry, is a code word for Yesod. So because we've talked about shalom. Shalom comes from the word shalem, which we've talked about a lot, so I won't go into it. But shalem means that all the different parts are working together. They're mashlam. They complete and perfect each other. So what Yesod does is take all the parts within you, the mind and the heart and the love and the fear and the sense of self and the vision, and it pulls them all together. It creates a space where all those forces can come and gather and assemble in order to finally be channeled beyond itself to full expression and revelation. The final stage next week is full expression, full manifestation, full revelation. And the moment before that, before something comes to fruition, is the gathering, the ingathering. So let's say that your soul has infinite awareness, infinite knowledge, and you have a unique contribution, a unique voice, and you may get overwhelmed with your fears and your insecurities and lash out or hold it within or whatever your approach is to these things. But it's all there. Now, let's say you want to express something. Let's say you have to teach a class and you have nothing to say. Let's say you haven't prepared anything that day, let's just say. And it's 10 seconds before the class, and you're sitting there going, what am I going to say? Just say. And suddenly you get a spark. You get a spark in your mind. And your spark in your mind is like, oh, that's what it is. And if you ask me 1 second before the class, what am I speaking about? The answer is that spark. And you say, well, what's in the spark? I'm like, well, listen to the class, because the class was all the things that were in the spark. But the spark feels like a spark. It feels like a seed. It's a seed. All the apples and all the trees that grow in the world, they come from seeds, right? And one seed can have many trees and many apples and many apples and many trees, all in that seed. So it's all them in potential. But what's interesting is that spark that comes into your mind. What are you going to say? What are you going to speak about in the class? That is actually drawn from somewhere. It's drawn from all you've learned and all you've experienced in all your life. So when you step into a class, let's say as a teacher, and you don't know what you're going to say, so you're not pulling on nothing. You didn't just wake up. You're not just a baby that was born yesterday. You've experienced all that knowledge and wisdom, and you're looking for the way to gather that sensitivity. And it's also laid about your sensitivities, but what's a good class, what's a bad class, how to begin, how to connect to the audience. So all of that is there, and all those sensitivities, and your inner essence of what you want to express and what you don't want to express, it's all there, and it comes together in that point. And then you open up your eyes and your mouth, and then it starts to express itself. Does that make sense? So that's why a code word for Yesod is shalom. Just so devotees say, fed up and grateful. It's nice to hold those two things together. Um, the idea of shalom is a vessel for truth, as you said. It takes everything, all your thoughts and all your beliefs and all your soul and all your sensitivities and all your loves and all your doubts, and it creates that vessel there, and that means a container. Sadiq Yesod Olam. That means the tzaddik gathers all the energies together and pours that into the world. So the word Yesod means foundation, it means peace, it means gathering, and it really means a channel. And of course, it means sexual intimacy. So do you see how they're all the same? Let's go over them again. So I'm writing this down. Foundation, sexual intimacy, channel, a peace, and gathering together. Did you get all of those? Should I say them again? Am I missing out any other kinuim, any other keywords? You've got a channel, you've got peace, you've got sexual intimacy, you've got foundation. What else did I miss out this time? It really means to bond and connect, right? Hit kashrut. So that's what the tzaddikim call it. His kashrus. It's shalom. His kashrus. So the kinuyim for Yesod are his kashrus, connection, shalom, peace, intimacy, foundation, and channel. Okay, I want you to look at those words. I want you to say, could you explain how they're all the same thing? Who can explain how they're all the same thing? Remember, Kabbalah means Hakabbalah. It means correlations, correspondences. It means to see there's all these different things in the world. Connection and peace and sexual intimacy. That's the kind of easy stuff. Foundation, channel. Anyone like to explain it to us? Anyone feel that they can do this? It's okay, I've got plenty of time tonight. I have nothing really to say, so I can sit here for like 1 hour, 20 minutes and kill some time. Just going to check my WhatsApp messages. I'll be back in a second, see if Michael Ben Malik contacted me about the Miami event for a second. Someone telling you, Mike, come on, you can play this game. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Don't leave me abandoned all alone without his kashrus and connection and peace.
I'll play.
Okay, who's playing? Menachem's on. Yes.
All right. So once you have give an analogy of a business, once you have a strong foundation and you're able to, you know where you're going, you know what you're doing. In a way, you're able to, okay, this is who I'm going to connect with. This is who I'm going to bond with. This is what I'm going to do. And in this way, like you're able to channel your creativity because if you have a strong foundation and a strong vessel, in a way that's like your creativity comes up because I'm not gonna do this. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that because again, it starts with the foundation. It grows with the connection, and then it grows.
What's the definition of foundation in your analogy here?
A structure.
A foundation.
For example, you can be like in business a business plan. For example, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. This is the foundation. This is what I'm not going to do. And then you can translate to a connection, to a relationship. This is the kind of people I want to connect with. This is the people I don't want to connect.
I give that six out of 10. You have a good smile. I give it 7 out of 10 for your smile as well. I think that's nice. And I think you pinned it. I don't think you're ready for the LinkedIn article yet. You're saying it's good to have a foundation and then what you choose. But I think we can do better. Would anyone like to play for an 8 out of 10? I still like you, Menachem. You can still come for Shabbos. I'm not pushing you off yet. I'm not giving up on you. Go on, Malka Engel. You've been around long enough.
So when I
I
think
mean, I
foundation,
mean an elevation. It's not a
well,
comment on your age.
it's true, Rob Katz. It's okay. It's true.
You've been around for thousands of years. Go on. You put it all together.
That's true too, actually.
It feels that way
When I think
sometimes.
of
Yes.
foundation, I think of a vessel. Without a foundation, we don't have anything. Like we need a foundation in order to build a building, in order to build anything. So that comes first.
Okay. What about the rest of the words?
Um, well, the foundation holds the structure together. So there's the peace, there's a sexual union with that, which then goes to create something else, right?
I think you're grasping at straws here. I think you
Yeah, I
get that.
think a
That's what it
little
feels like to me. Okay. I
bit. I think
appreciate your willingness to come up, but
that's
having
my
been around for
practice,
that.
Rob Katz. I'm
Okay, good.
practicing.
And you did good. And you did good. This is not in a circle. Let's just hold it up. We had a very intense session yesterday, so we're still processing that. Okay, Schiffer wants to play. Schiffer wants to play. If he said a stack knives for anyone that gets it right. Yes.
I'm wondering if peace is the foundation.
Go on.
We gather, the gathering is the different aspects of peace to put the foundation together. Once that's solid, then we can channel it outward.
Well, you got, yeah, there it was. Okay, you got onto something. Say the last part again.
Once we gather that together,
Yeah.
it creates the foundation, and then we can begin channeling. And
Okay,
then
so now you're onto something. You didn't use most of the words, but now you're on. Sadiq Yesod Elam. At Tzaddik is the foundation of the world. A foundation for what? The world. Now I realize why people like my classes, because it's just so obvious to me how all these come together. So I like to ask everyone else, and it's like everyone is okay. You said that was we got there. Well, we're moving along that line. It's helpful for me to hear how everyone else processes this. Otherwise, it's like, how do you not see this? Dove, you playing?
It's creation. The whole creation is holding of opposites, the connecting of opposites. Like it all comes together and creates
Yeah.
and it manifests in this world into action.
Okay. Okay. This is all true. Okay. Let's build this
I
up. Let's set a foundation. Yeah. 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 I mean, the things that you're saying are true, but they're so
it's
general.
missing
I don't know.
something there. Yeah, I feel
No.
like it's missing.
Let's start here. The foundation of the child is the intimacy between the parents. It's the moments where their life is conceived, and everything that progresses from that moment is on the foundation of the connection between the parents. Hmm. You all did the thinking. Eyes went up. Should we say that again? There's two dynamics to his kashrus connection. Okay. First of all, Yesod is about the connection between masculine and feminine. The masculine represents the giver, the feminine represents the receiver. Now, I don't want to, God forbid, talk inappropriately, but we're all mature adults. And given that we are in the world long enough that we can actually understand things with little depth. And I think that's okay. So we will be respectful and sensitive, and we'll be mature, and then we can talk about real things. It's fascinating to know that the word for the word, I don't want to say these words because they're all contaminated. Okay, great. Let's just speak to English. In the Torah portion, when a man conceives with a woman, the language is he came upon her, right? That's the biblical language. So that is the term, one. And what that is speaking to is the idea of that the man channels his energy, channels his life force, channels his seed through himself into the woman, the place of conception, right? Great. It is beyond fascinating to note that the word for prophecy is literally the same word as that word. He came upon her in a biblical sense. Niv Sifasai, which means seed, the fruit of the lips, which means that Hashem prophecy pours into the prophet, pours through the prophet. The wisdom, the light, the shefa, the vision pours through the prophet and into the world. He came upon her in a biblical sense. The word for prophecy is that Hashem is pouring his energy through us. And his energy is not just energy, it's not just light, it's information, it's wisdom. That is beyond fascinating. And the prophet is the feminine in some sense, because he receives his prophecy by aligning his mind with source, so that source can channel its light and energy, its shefa, through him and into the world, or through her and into the world. Does that make sense to people? Are we following so far? So first, the highest experience of humanity is prophecy, and the root of that is nun base aleph, and base aleph is the word to come. He came upon her in a biblical sense. So first of all, we have to understand this core idea that Yesod is the connection point between 2 points, is the connection between 2 points, but it's not an arbitrary connection, because all 2 points, all 2 archetypes, opposite archetypes, masculine and feminine, it is the flowing of the masculine, or the channeling through the masculine and into the feminine in order to create something beyond themselves. Now we're getting more interesting. Yesod is the channeling down. Now, without being inappropriate, God forbid, but maybe we don't usually talk about this, but there's a tikkun that we can do on a slightly deeper level. The male has an energy, a channel, to channel life force down, to receive in the receptacle of the feminine energy, in order that she can create that life and bring it to full expression. Yesod is both connection. Yesod represents the genitalia, the sexual organs that create life. And the goal of the sexual organs that create life is that they channel down through light and energy through the masculine into the feminine, so the feminine can bring that into reality and express it beyond that. In fact, to be very careful with our words, even Chazal, our sages say that the 2 contact points in intimacy in Kabbalah, the masculine and the feminine are together below, but they're supposed to be kissing on the mouth above. And the mouth of the masculine and feminine are the contact points, in the same way that the organs below are the contact points. And they're both considered to be the same thing, which is a very deep idea. Even the mouth to kiss, our sages say, the upper comes together with the lower. That's the sound of kissing is the sound of the tension and the pressure and the release of the upper coming together with the lower. So the mouth, our sages ask a famous question in the Gemara: if a person's Rebbe is drowning in the water and a person's father is drowning in the water, God forbid, as in 2 different people, which one should you say first? Everybody knows this is a famous one. And the answer is me. You should save me first. Thank you. But besides that, if there's a Rebbe and a father drowning in the water, you save your Rebbe first, which is a bit astonishing because kibbut av v'em, etc. And the idea is we should never know such problems and challenges in our life. That our sages say that our father brought us into the physical world, but our Rebbe brings us into the spiritual world. And what that means is something very deep. Our father brings us into the physical world with the organs below, the connective organs below. But our Rebbe brings us into the spiritual world through speech, through teaching us Torah. Because when the Rebbe gives over the Torah, gives over the wisdom, gives over a chelik of his neshama, he's impregnating you with spiritual wisdom, which fills your mind and fills your heart with kedusha, which allows you to go do ma'asim tovim, acts which are the children from that in the world. So in another sense, the connection of the higher world, which is of the head, is really the connection through the mouth. And the mouth also gives channel. The mouth also gives flow. The mouth also gives expression. The mouth also reveals from the inner to the external. So in some sense, the mouth is the organ of connection in the mind, in the higher realm, at what intimacy, what the sexual organs are in the lower realm. So the sexual organs connect, create life of a physical body, but we develop a spiritual body, our soul, through learning Torah, through teaching Torah, and that life force is given over through mouth, which represents the same idea in the head. So mystically speaking, in intimacy between a husband and wife, there's always supposed to be, in the time of the bonding in the lower realms, you're supposed to have a bonding in the upper realms. It's a very deep idea of panim b'panim. So first of all, when the channel, meaning the man, has worked on his Ava and Yira, has worked on his Kedusha, has worked on his Torah, he is now a channel, a vessel. Even his intimate organs are a channel, a vessel where light and energy and tremendous Kedusha are flowing through. And he must be shalem, shalem in his midas, shalem in his kedusha, and shalem really means, according to our sages, the seed that impregnates the woman. It actually derives from the moichin, from the consciousness of the father. It's not really just created below. There's consciousness within that. However you understand what our sages mean, one of the principles of intimacy is what the child is, the lavush of the child, or the soul of the child, to put it simply, is an expression of the consciousness of the parents at the moment of intimacy. I remember one Rav saying to me when I was getting married, he says, you will see that in your children. You will see your intentions and the clarity of heart and soul, that what it is in the moment of connection, you will see that expressed in your children, which is a remarkable thing. And Hashem's very interesting of how he arranges that. So what happens is the impregnating life force is derived through consciousness. And it's derived through the state of the Ava, of Yira, of the Kedusha, of the Simcha, of the Anava. All of that pools, all of that gathers, and all of that channels through to the woman, to the receptacle, to receiver. So this idea of the connection point between giving and receiving, which is really where I want to take today's session of meditation, really the channeling of the light so she can receive it, really the shleimut, which is both the inner koiches, the inner energies, the keta, chochma, bina, das, chesed, gevurah, teferes, netzach, and hoid, all the koiches, that they come together to be able to pour into this woman. You're supposed to give the best of who you are. There's amazing, amazing halachas in Torah, if you don't know these things, of the state of consciousness required to have intimacy. The state of consciousness. God forbid you have intimacy where there's anger. God forbid you have anger where the woman is sad towards the husband. God forbid, the worst is to be thinking of something else, right? Or thinking of somebody else, chas v'chalila. And what that does to the soul of the child is unbelievably destructive. So there's an idea that in intimacy, all your being is focused on that other person. That means that you're together because you're zivug amiti, you're true soulmates, and you're committed to this person. And the sages say in Kabbalah, the man's supposed to whisper loving thoughts, loving words, carrying words to the wife to arouse her heart. So the man feels love and compassion. It's not, God forbid, supposed to be a physical, external act. It's supposed to be love and compassion with deep intention to connect and to do that in the highest way. The L'Shem Yichud Kudshi Barichu V'Shchinte, that you are Kudshi Barichu, and she, the woman, is receiving the divine feminine presence. And there's a spiritual alignment happening, and there's an intellectual commitment and love and appreciation. You can't be thinking about anyone else but them, and feeling the emotion, and that's aligned with the physical action. So there's a deep inner alignment, a deep inner shleimut, a perfection of all parts of yourself, and there's shalom bayit, the perfection of the kli, the love and the respect, and you care for each other, and it has to be done within words of caring and love and consideration. That has to be the atmosphere. So there's the shleimus, which is the perfection of masculine and feminine. That's shleimut. Shalem, it's the connection point. It's the channeling from above to below. It's the gathering of all one's forces, the gathering of one's energy. When a man has no energy to give, there's nothing to gather. But when a man gives his energy with his love and with his soul and with his being, he pours his essence. Sadiq Yesod Elam. It's Sadiq is Yesod lo Olam. That's the interesting line. Olam means the feminine. Olam means the world, the physical place, the feminine. And he pours the blessing into the physical world. When we go to a tzaddik, it's seen as an intimate act because you go with an open heart to receive. You're supposed to love your tzaddik. You're supposed to, Rabbi Nachman talks about, you find a real tzaddik in the world, a real Rebbe, and you feel his kashrus to them, and you give over, you surrender your heart to them and your higher connection, and they create life within you. They pour Torah into you. They pour kedusha into you. If your mind is clean and straight, it's a very beautiful image. We are impregnated with Kedusha, with Torah, with Chedushim, with inspiration, with clarity. We are lifted like intimacy. We are lifted up from a life of chaos and darkness to a moment of devekas, of connection. I'm joined and bonded to someone else, to something deeper and higher. There's no greater bliss than learning Torah from a tzaddik. Rabbi Nachman says that Torah. What did I see that Torah the other day? Excuse me, I'm just stepping out of the way for a second. Kuf Beis Gimel Dalet Hey. Kuf Beis Kuf Nun Beis. Rabbi Nachman is the best, by the way. The best. Kuf Nun Zion 157. Mizdabek Atzma, the Divrei Torah, Hayotzi Mepi Tzadik. Listen to this. When you bind yourself to the words of Torah that come out of the mouth of a tzaddik. Now, when you bind yourself, the word he's using is istabek. Istabek means devekus. Devekus means you bond and join your consciousness. But it's also one of the words for intimacy. Isdabkus means that the man and woman cleave together, bond together, become unified. So again, if your mind is clear, it means to completely surrender yourself and give your consciousness over. In the same way we surrender, give at least our bodies and hopefully our conscious over to our husband or a wife in intimacy. So when a tzaddik speaks, we do that with Hashem. We do that with Hashem Avaya. We clear our mind. We take off the clothes of our mind, as we'll talk about. We give ourselves completely over. Im yizdabek atzma, the divrei Torah hayotim mepi tzaddik. Tamea ani. If a person binds and unifies themselves to the words of Torah that are coming out of the mouth of a true tzaddik in higher consciousness, Rabbi Nachman says, I am astonished. Eich efsha achar kach l'sboil v'l'chapaitz chayil maba hazeh. I'm astonished how anyone after doing that can handle being in the physical world or can still desire anything physical. Wow, what the Rebbe said was unbelievable. Let's go and get pizza. Says no one ever, according to Rabbi Nachman. It's just like, it's so blissful, it's so high, it's so transcendent. Then how could you want anything? And he twists and plays with the line, the pasuk from Avos in the 4th chapter of Pirkei Avos. Kol hanena medivrei Torah noito chayav min ha'olam. So the simple meaning, if anyone gets pleasure or steals or profits, so to speak, from Torah, then they lose their life in this world. But the way he's reading it is kol hanena medivrei Torah. Anyone that gets true pleasure from the words of Torah, noto chayav min ha'olam. They're just, the life is lifted above this physical world. So you see how he's seeing it. He's seeing it as an act of intimacy. In the moment of the peak act of intimacy, a person is no longer in their body, they're no longer with their stresses, they're no longer with their issues, they're no longer like, let's get pizza tonight. There's a moment of real transcendence, And transcendence means hisdapkus, devekus. It's the word devekus, right? It means I'm no longer limited by this, and I'm more now at one of that. And when I leave the external and I give myself over, then all the light channels down through me, into me, and creates me anew, impregnates me to now reveal more, to experience more, to channel more, to embody more, and to give over more than I ever had before. It's making sense to anybody. So let's go back to these words for a second. What were the words? A channel, in the act of intimacy, Yesod. It's always masculine and feminine energy. It's always masculine represents the giving over, and the feminine represents the receiver. The shleimut, they have to come together. It's the pouring of the energy through that. It's the channeling from the higher to the lower. It's the sense of the unity. Next week is Malchus, and Malchus is to then receive in order to manifest. To take, she takes the seed, she creates a child, and then the child leaves her and goes to express, to become, have its own identity and existence beyond her. And this is the act of prophecy. How does prophecy begin? It's pashtus agashmias. Now, the Baal Shem Tov says what I was going to say now. So it's not, I'm not, God forbid, trying to be inappropriate. And because it's this time of year, we can talk in a slightly mature way. When a prophet, meaning a meditator, that's us, B'nai Nevi'im, goes to meditate, according to elevation, what's the first thing we're supposed to do? You can write in the box, you can turn on your microphone, you're all sophisticated adults, don't do sign language.
Yishuv hada'at.
Yeshiv das. Nachas. People got the answer right. Yeshiv das means to take off all the distractions of the mind, right? Thinking about this and dreaming about that. Okay. So Kabbalistically, when you do that really well, what that leads to is his pashtus agashmis, which is to take off the physical. The more I take off those thoughts and those fears and tomorrow and yesterday and that doubt and that shame and that ego and that vision and that memory and that's the taste and the smell of the pizza, and I strip it off, then I separate from the noise of my ego identity. That's called his pashtus. And I'm able to expand. I take that off. I strip that off. I'm able to lift my consciousness up. Yeshivadas is pashtus agashmis. You got that? Great. So what's very, very interesting is this is likened by the Baal Shem Tov and other Tzaddikim that when there's supposed to be intimacy between a man and woman in Kabbalah, it's supposed to be done l'chadchila without any clothes. And that's also called hispashtus. It means to remove all the clothes. To remove, they're supposed to be together purely, without any separation, any mechitza. So the Tzaddikim say, Baal Shem Tov says this, other Tzaddikim say this, Machshavas, thoughts, are the levushim of the mind, are the clothes of our mind. When we want to give ourselves over to Hashem, we have to take all the other thoughts out of our mind. We want to be naked. We want to be pure. We want to have tahara and kedusha, pure, pristine consciousness. It's in order to then be davik, intimacy with source. So the Baal Shem Tov and many Tzaddikim say, just in the same way that a man and woman must remove the externalities that cover over their essence in order to have physical intimacy, so too a tzaddik, so too a navi, so too a meditator must remove all the thoughts and all the distractions and all the stray feelings from their mind in order to be basa echad, davik, completely attached without any mechitza, without any separation. It's beautiful. Do you understand that image? And this is where I wanted to go with the meditation today, but we started this inner circle thing. We had a really, really beautiful, powerful session this week. Yesterday, especially powerful and beautiful. But it's a fascinating thing to watch in a group of people. How hard it is for people to bond authentically in groups. How much of our lives we avoid that. How much we've had to work in the sessions to get the groups to open, behind the scenes to get the groups to open. There's nothing we all want more than connection. There's nothing we're afraid of more than connection, because true connection takes vulnerability. Vulnerability means you have to be able to strip away all the triggers and all the fears and all the excuses that come up and all the rationalizations and justifications just to turn face to face with another person. We did this at the retreat that we just did in Mexico, getting two people to stare into each other's eyes for an hour, and all the fears that come up at the beginning, and all the doubts, and all the shame, and all the need to look away, and all the rationalizations and justifications, just to let it pass, just to let it release, just to then be there. And now you're there. And this is metaphorically, Kabbalistically stripping off all the clothes to have intimacy, just emotional intimacy. Just you're a person, I'm a person, and here we are. And I don't have to look away, and I don't have to cover over, and I don't have to. A lot of people, I remember when I first got to yeshiva and we would dance together for something, and the men would dance yeshiva. It was excruciating for me to dance with a group of men in a circle. I remember one time it was Rosh Hashanah, everyone was dancing. I ran out of the room onto the street. It took me a long time to be able to dance and then dance with joy. There were all these feelings. Am I dancing right? Am I dancing wrong? Am I supposed to be like do this? Am I supposed to be connected? I was so flooded I had to run out of the room. Moshe says the protective layers, all those protective layers. All those protective layers. What people don't when you deal with couples having difficult relationships in marriage, sometimes there's this thing that couples to punish each other or to because of frustration, they don't have intimacy for a while, weeks, sometimes months. It's the worst thing to do. Hashem is a genius in that intimacy is the psychological reset of the marriage. Intimacy is the psychological reset of the marriage. When you're so frustrated with each other, you don't know what to do with each other, you have the gift of intimacy because it can strip off the clothes, it strips off the blocks. The mutual pleasure and the mutual connection opens up and takes down all those barriers that build. Now, there has to be trust, and there has to be some sense of health to come together, to bring each other together at difficult times. But make that the anchor of what we work towards, because all the blocks to getting back to that place, that's the place where you have to take off the clothes. It's the way you have to take down the defenses. It's the way you have to just move through those protective layers. And when you do, it resets the relationship in a profound way. Marriage needs intimacy as a tool, not just because people like it and it's cool and it's fun and it gives them pleasure. It's a profound psycho-spiritual reset in the same way that an elevation retreat is, that you feel you've been religious all your life and you feel do these mitzvahs and you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, or you feel you're going through life, you're not connected to the spirituality, and then all of a sudden you blast out of your body, right? You strip. How many hours and days do we, before the high meditation experience, did we work through our blocks and work through our fears and work through our doubts and group exercises? We're learning to take your defenses down. And then you experience the divine and the light flowing through you. That's the act of intimacy. And then you leave like you're chilled out with Hashem. Yeah, we have a relationship now. We're good. We're hooked up together. There's a little trust together. Now we feel like we're dating again. We're back to the good times, right? Now I know why it's worth being in a relationship. Sometimes in marriage, you're weeks, you're like, I don't know why I'm in a relationship with this person. And after intimacy, a person turns around and goes, okay, yeah, this is good. We can make this work. That's what Dveikus is in your relationship with Hashem. If you don't have an authentic, emotional, spiritual connection where you feel the light of Hashem pouring into you, a person can go through their life feeling like, I don't know why I'm in this marriage with God. All I do is get grief from God. He's criticizing me. I'm never enough. I'm here. I don't turn up for shackles in time. I'm not doing the mitzvahs right. It's like a marriage that's not working. We're going through what did he say? Going through the ropes? Is that what you say? And then you have a moment of Dveikus. You strip down your defenses. You strip down your ego. You feel that light. You feel that blessing. You feel Hashem's holding you, and we can release and surrender into it. The word for Dveikus is the word for intimacy. And then when you feel that, you can fly for months on that high. You can feel Hashem love you and bless you and connect to you for months on that high, right? Do you see how that's the same dynamic playing out? Because when you fragmented, now you need to come back together in shalom. And now that light opens you up, and it's a channel that pours light and love into you. And that unifies us, and that completes us. And that causes us to, we are the malchus, we are the receivers. And then we can go out there and change the world because we've received the light of the energy, the joy. You know, all these things are things I don't like to talk about, so we'll talk about them once a year. That's okay, I can handle that. According to Kabbalah, intimacy is for the woman. It's for the woman. Men need it physically, but women need it psycho-spiritually. It doesn't mean a man shouldn't get pleasure. Absolutely, a man should. It's okay, a man will. But a woman needs it for a whole existence to be reset because women get lost in the world, in their pain, in their confusion. And when they can connect to the husband in that intimacy with love and with caring and sensitivity, the whole self resets and releases, and they feel more aligned and more in joy, more aligned and more in joy. And then they can be the vessel and the wife to do all the things they want to do because they feel deeply that love and that care and that pleasure and that joy and that connection. That's why we say Sadiq Yesod Elam. It's Sadiq is the Yesod, is the channel of light, La'olam, for the world, for the vessel, for the feminine. If there's no tzaddikim in the world, the rest of us are left in the darkness. When there's a tzaddik in the world that you can go to, when things are overwhelming, you feel joy, you feel blessed. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Ein shum yesh ba'olam klal. When you go to Omer Rosh Hashanah and you're dancing around the place, the Rabbi Nachman, and you feel that Rabbi Nachman's there and he's telling us to go and he's telling us to dance, and you feel like, hey, we're going back and we're fine now. He's the tzaddik, he's the channel that gives us life, that gives us energy, that gives us joy, that gives us hope. We are the feminine. If we don't get some of that light of the tzaddik, we just get overwhelmed and stuck and frustrated and pained and disconnected in life. We become that sad housewife. The housewife, the house is the world. But when we feel loved and connected and Hashem lifts us up and gives us the feeling of Dveikus, we want to get that in the world and do unbelievable things. We have all the energy and all the resilience in all of the world to conquer everything. So the capacity to once a day with Dveikus is to strip off the thoughts of the head, strip off the protective layers, and return with intimacy. And that requires vulnerability, vulnerability to others, vulnerability to source. That opens us up with light. So the Siddiqim say another thing: Limud Torah is intimacy with Hashem. There's another model which is discussed. That's called Limud Torah Lishma, according to the Baal Shem Tov. When you learn Torah, I remember like in the beginning of yeshiva, you sit down, you open up the chavrusa, you open up a Gemara, you talk with the chavrusa, how are you, what's going on, and think, hey, let's learn the Gemara. And you're sitting there and you're drinking you're eating your donuts and you're drinking your tea and you're talking, you're chatting. And then you finish your donuts, you walk downstairs together, you come up, we get another donut, you get another something, and you come back. And I remember someone telling me once, no, the only way you learn is B'Ratzifus. Have you heard of learning B'Ratzifus? So there's a tzaddik of Srimer Zilberberg, it's on the wall over there. And when he gets burnt out because he's doing avodas Hashem for 27-hour days, and he's going on, well, how does he take a break after the Yomim Nomayim, after Pesach? How do they take a break? So what he does is he gets a dira, a house up north, and he gets up in the morning and he davens, and they finish davening at around 10 o'clock in the morning, and then they learn B'Ratzifus for 8 hours straight. They open up a book like the Talmud or a Zohar or something, and they learn uninterrupted for 8 hours straight. Uninterrupted means you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't say a single word, and you just sit there. And my friend told me, you're allowed to go with him and do it. What? If you want to get access to the tzaddik, you can go with him. I said, really? Yeah, but you have to sign a contract that says every day you're going to learn with them B'Ratzifus. B'Ratzifus means uninterrupted for 8 hours straight. So I just thought, I can't handle learning 10 minutes straight without getting another donut or going to the bathroom or making a joke about something. So I asked my friend how it was. He says he's never felt as high in his life as doing that. He said somewhere around 2.5 hours, the light and energy would kick in. And I just was astonished by that. Astonished by that. But when you understand how the Baal Shem Tov talks about learning Torah, he says, you have all these thoughts and you have all these distractions. And the Torah is called Yesod. Torah is called Yesod. At Matan Torah, Shavuot is coming up. Hashem lifts us up out of our lives. 49 days, the Sfirat is cleaning all the Levushim. We went in the mikveh before Shavuos, and then Hashem pours the Torah into us. Matan Torah is called a wedding, right? But one of the three ways halakhically to get married is sexual intimacy. So Matan Torah, we blew out of our body in a state of bliss, and Hashem poured the light and energy into us. We became Hashem's wife, and He injected into us, in an act of intimacy, the neshama of a yid, and the Torah that flows through us into the world, and the mitzvahs that flows through us into the world. He conceived the Jewish soul to be born into the world on that night through Klal Yisrael, Knesset Yisrael. We're called Knesset Yisrael. You know what Knesset means? It means gathering. It means Yesod. It means assembling. We're all the separate parts, all the energies we assemble together, and then it gets poured into us. Torah is called Shalom. There's many, many ramazim here. The Baal Shem Tov is saying we have to, if you want to learn with light, with electricity, and feel Hashem's, all of the Ramban says from the Zohar that all of Torah is just one name of Hashem. It's one extended name of Hashem. So when you're learning Torah, you're summoning Hashem's highest light and energy. Torah b'chochma nafka, you're blowing out of your body to draw from the divine wisdom, the higher unified light of divine wisdom. But to do that, Baal Shem Tov says you have to take away all distractive thoughts. You have to begin with meditating and popping your bubbles in Yishuv. That's what a Chazal would say. The Hasidim Rishonim would, before they would pray, they would clear their mind, take off the clothes, prepare for intimacy, right? Take out all the protective layers, all are focusing on the world, and clear your mind so you're naked before Source. You're pure and pristine in your consciousness. And then when you pray, then you're pouring the words into you. Mystically speaking, you know what the Baal Shem Tov says? Prayer is not lifting your words up to Hashem. It's fixing your consciousness and injecting those words and their kedusha and their energy into you to rearrange, restructure your mind and heart. So you're now in deep alignment. That's how the woman feels after beautiful intimacy, that a whole self and identity and heart is reassembled and your soul is gathered and put back to place. And they can both stand up clear and aligned, eye to eye, face to face, heart to heart together in the deepest way. So that's what Matan Torah was. It was the reset for the marriage of the relationship. Out of 2,000 years of tohu uvohu, of chaos and disorder, that Hashem lifted us up out of the bested up his wife, and she was overwhelmed with the stress of reality. That was called Egypt, right? And she was serving this other guy that didn't care for her, didn't nurture for her. So Hashem said, "There, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to lift you up into an intimate act and pour my Torah and my kedusha, right, into you. Ada nafshis kasav yahavas." Hashem says, I wrote my neshama in these words, in the Torah, and I'm giving it over to Anoichi. That's what Anoichi is. And what does that mean? It means Hashem gave his mind, his consciousness through his seed, through the Torah, and inject the Torah scroll. When the Torah is rolled up, it's like a vav, which is the vav is going from the top to the bottom. That's the channel, and it pours into the Jewish people that they were pregnant. It became the wife of Hashem. So the Baal Shem Tov says the secret of learning with Cephas and learning in Dveikus is your mind has to be clear. You don't stop and say, I want a donut. You don't stop and make a joke. You don't stop any distractions because it's not like stopping in the middle of intimacy. You know, I just want to put my clothes on again in the middle of intimacy. I just want to pull myself out of the complete surrender, the complete surrender. There's nothing else to think of. You're thinking of the words, you're thinking of the beauty of that teaching. You don't say, I'm going to get a donut. That means your whole being is in alignment with the surrender, with the giving over, with the unification. This is making sense to anyone. That's the shleimut. Hashem is in shalom. His name is in shalom without Klal Yisrael. Hashem has a desire for good. Hashem has a desire to give. But until there's a world to pour that good into, that is good, until there's a world to share with nurture, to develop, then Hashem is in shalom. So it's the point where he connects to us, where Hashem is shalom, where he has mishpia and mekabel. Let's take a moment for whatever you want to do. Questions, thoughts, reflections. First of all, emotional check-in. Write something in the box. Razy, was that you turning on your mic? Right,
Yeah.
give us 1 second. Everybody, I've shared a lot with you. You can share back. Here we go. Give me one sentence, an emotional check-in before we hear from Razy Lena. Can all do this. This is, again, if your mind is clear, this makes sense. Parents to children is the same dynamic. You're there to pour your consciousness in them, pour your love to them, pour your wisdom to them. If you're staring at your phone, if you're staring at your phone, you're disconnecting your mind, your attention. The biggest gift you can give your children, more than money and more than gifts and more than candy, is your attention. Kids don't want to know that you love them. They don't want to hear, I love you. I love you so much. I really love you, my favorite child. Right? The way they experience love, the way they experience the care is that you give them the attention. Don't say you love them and then ignore them. Don't say you love them and tune out. The more you give full attention, you sit with them on the couch, you put everything away, you put them on your lap, you read them a story, you talk about the day. That's when a child feels the experience of the parent around, of the love, of nurturing. That's where there's a transmission, not just of wisdom, but of consciousness. There's a transmission of consciousness when you do that. Alex says, I'm liking this very much. What you shared reminds me of times when I prayed nets and davened at length and were learning and davening for hours, right? That's Dvekas, that's intimacy with all your ego clothes off. Marlon says, I feel complete and happy to hear about these topics that no one talks about. Yes. Wish I didn't talk about them too. Yehuda says, I'm deeply moved. Sounds like I'm hearing some things I have known in my deepest self, but it was submerged. Thank you for this knowledge. Hadassah says it's intense. Moshe says it's very resenting. Is that what you meant? I don't think that's what you meant. Interesting, perhaps. Michael says,
Resonating.
was that fascinating?
Resonating.
Resonating. Okay, okay. That's different from resenting.
Sorry.
But we're good. In the right, no,
Michael.
okay. Better if it's resonating. Michael says, ready for Uman Rosh Hashanah. I'm thinking this year. I haven't been for a long time, Michael. I'm wondering if I can make it physically. Dove says, so deep yet so simple. Alex says, resonates a lot. The unification of all the emotions through truly connecting. That's beautifully put. There you go. The unification, the yichud, the soid safek kodesh. All the angels are coming together and pouring their love into this world, right? The true connection. They're the greatest moments. One of the greatest moments of my life is for me, I am happiest when I'm learning by myself or when I'm teaching. For me, teaching is that sense of all the wisdom and all the connection and the light, and you're just pouring it in, you're just channeling, you're just in that flow. Forget about my struggle and my body and my life and my issues. Just attuning to what needs to be heard and what needs to be said and what the struggle is, and you're just channeling the light into that. If your mind is clean and focused, it's a beautiful, pure energy. That's what we're all doing. Nissi says, so much to take in. Wow, our Torah is so rich. Is it not? Isn't it? Right. Yafa says, compelling and awesome. Yulia says, validated. Dove says, I miss Uman. You miss Uman. I haven't been to Uman in like 6 years now. And Mejibush. And Breslov is unbelievable. Breslov is super, super underestimated. Miri says the generation has so much difficulty with this in so many levels, right? So this is the door of Yesod, you should know. This is the 6,000 year period. So this has gone haywire. That's a nice way to put it. Esty says, can we please do this for 8 hours per Cephas? Yeah, we can. It's called an elevation retreat. That's what it feels like to me. That's it. That's the game. Everyone's connected. I need to build trust, build relationships, and we just pour energy and pour light and pour blessing. And that's the bliss of it. Jennifer says, I totally resonate with the excitement of learning, connecting with Hashem. People don't get it. I get giddy through learning. Me too. Bacha says, needed to hear this. Sharon says, I feel so light and blissful. Malka says, it shows. Hannah says, I understand my life search. Okay, we're starting now. Are you ready, Esty? Sorry, Razy. Hi, Razy.
Hi, how are you? That was amazing, incredible. You mentioned in the middle that what you channel into your children is what they become, right?
Yeah.
So how does that explain Avram, Yaakov, and their children?
Oh, well, this is an old one, and there is a way to explain it. I know how to explain it. Do you? So the idea in Kabbalah is uh, there's so much deep stuff here. I don't know we want to get into it all right now. But the idea is that there's a birur, a cleansing process, that we carry a lot of tumor. We carry darkness. We absorb it into us. And at the beginning, when we first express ourselves, we're a mix of all kinds of stuff. We are. Think about, I remember this couple was at a Shabbos table years ago, and the girl was like, "Oh, I can't wait for Shana Rishona. It's going to be such a magical time." And my wife and I burst out laughing. Shana Rishona is the worst time for most marriages, right? My wife and I just every year we're like, we're 20 years married this year. Baruch Hashem, we're 19 years away from Shana Rishona. Shana Rishona is when you get into a relationship and you realize how messed up you are and how messed up the other person is and how much you don't necessarily know how to make a relationship, and all your pain comes out in anger, comes out in judgment. And obviously I'm exaggerating to some extent because you're good people and we make it work and there's a lot of beautiful things. But it's also a moment where you kind of go like, we don't really know how to make love work. Do I really have what it takes? And it's really hard. So you have to kind of work through that darkness a little to bring out the light. You know, in the Torah sources, the day begins at night. The first is a process, Vayihi Erev, Vayihi Voiker. And the word Erev means night, but also means mixed up and entangled, the good and the bad together, the Yetzidas Tevara. And then comes Vayihi Boiker, morning, and morning is light and goodness when all shines through. So Avraham, in the ascent from the darkness of this world in that generation, in the ascent that after the fall from Gan Eden, we'd all fallen into a very, very low place. And Abraham came into a very dark world. And by the way, his soul was so high, but he also came
Hello.
from dark places because his light was brought down low so he could bring up the world. And therefore, the first son he had was the energy of negativity that he had to purge out of him.
Wow.
Wow. So that he could have the second son that was now pure. And if you think that's a coincidence, then Yitzhak played the same game. Technically, what was the first seed, the firstborn, was Esav, so that Yaakov could come through. And the miracle of Yaakov is he had 12 Siddiqim. So now the Chesed had been purified, and now the Gevurah had been purified. Now everything, then Yaakov was Shalem, and his bed was Shalem, even though there's interesting complexities in there and nuance. So now what came through for him could be a whole class, a whole nation of Kedusha. Is that interesting?
Mind blowing. Like she says, Torah is just awesome.
Yeah, Torah's awesome,
Incredible.
man.
Yeah, it's incredible.
There's one other thing that's swimming in my head. I just want to see if it's relevant now. Huh. I really want to give it this Torah, but it has to be the right time. Don't feel that it is. Okay, so thank you for your question, Razy. Who else has a
Thank you.
question, a share, raise a hand, physical, emotional? I'll give you all a second. Eliza, of course. Eliza always has to go. Yes, Eliza.
Ouch. Okay. I just wanted to say that it was I thought it was very incredible that I think that what you said was when when the peak moment comes between the moment of intimacy, it is the same thing that happens when the soul receives the download from Hashem.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is. It's a moment of intimacy and influx. You know what else it is? It's the moment of any creativity. Meaning, if you're an artist and you're jamming music, a jazz musician, and you play the instrument, you play the structure, and you're just really getting into the flow. But then the music's coming through. Any artist who paints, you know how to paint, you know how to make colors, but you get into the zone, and the light is coming through, and the creativity is coming out. Anywhere where you're in the zone in life is also a moment when your whole consciousness is given over to something, and you're so aligned with it, and the flow is coming through, and it gives you life and it gives you energy. So it's also the same idea. And that's what the highest level of that in the world is prophecy. And to learn Lishma, when you're learning to on that level, and your mind is just flooding with ideas and connections, and everything is being illuminated. So that's the same idea. This is the peak of human experience, is that intimacy. There's some people that fixate on the intimacy of the body, but the intimacy of the mind and the soul are even higher, even more ecstatic. As Mary Nachman was saying, if you could open up to the prophetic experience, your body doesn't lust after physical connection because it has the spiritual connection, which has all the bliss and none of the complexity of the physicality, none of the limits. And it is a thing that as couples age, there's no longer that desire in the same way. But the Siddiqui say when you're in your age, when the body is losing its power, the soul is stronger, the mind is stronger, and that pleasure of bliss, of limit of Torah, of all the Torah coming together and seeing the interconnectivity and feeling one with the Torah and one with Hashem's light and Hashem's mind through the power of Torah. So that's something that gets stronger and stronger within us over the time as the body weakens, the soul develops. Fine, thank you. Anybody else? Anything else to say? So then the next thing of where this is headed, I feel not like not doing a meditation. Can you forgive me? I'm going to close my eyes so I can't see if you can't. But I wanted to talk out this idea of Yesod, which is that there's an idea that happens in some marriages sometime, which is not always, not always, but a lot. I'm sure there's lots of exceptions to this rule. I know of exceptions to this rule. When you deal with a lot of couples, you hear this stuff a lot, that the man always wants intimacy and the wife never wants intimacy. Physically speaking, it's easier and more on a man's mind to step into that space. And even according to Halacha and Kabbalah, a woman needs to be raised to that space. I'm talking archetypes right now. I'm not saying that's always true in all relationships. I'm not saying that's always true in all parts or times of relationships. But can you understand there's a theme here? A man is more aroused and conscious of that. And a woman, not all women, not all the time, but in relationships, she has to be reminded or brought up to that place or to choose consciously to step into that place some of the time. I don't know if you're going, Rabbi Katz, what a load of garbage. It's the truth. There's a truth to it. And this is a very deep thing. This is a really, really deep thing. Hashem is always ready for Dveikus, but we're not. Hashem's got nothing else on his mind but connecting to us. He's got nothing else in his mind. He's being intimate with us, pouring his light and energy. He has so much light and energy and flow to pour into us. He has so much prophecy. Hashem's thinking about us day and night. That's it. And look, I'm busy with this. I don't have time to pray. I don't have time for mitzvahs right now. I've had a hard day. I have a headache, honey. We're stuck, overwhelmed with our thoughts, with our doubts, with our pain, with our lust, with our ambition, our goals. And Hashem is just thinking about connecting to us. Obviously, the Or Ein Sof isn't, but the Zer Anpin, the Kud Sheberichu, is waiting for Malchus to go through her process, to be ready to receive. They're saying the bas kol that goes out every day. Do tshuva. We shall do tshuva. We shall return to Hashem. And doing tshuva means take off your clothes, take off your blocks, come back to me. Tshuva teta'a, tshuva ila'a. Come back to me. Come back to me. Hashem's whole consciousness in this world is I'm ready to give you blessing and Eretz Yisrael and joy and Torah and mitzvahs and guide you and lift you up out of this world. Take off your blocks, take off your defenses, take off all the excuses, right? Now we want to be secular. Now we hate Eretz Yisrael. Now we hate the religious. Now we hate each other. Now we hate this. Now we got excuses. Now I'm too busy. Now I have to make money. When if I make money, a bit more money, then I'll have time to sit and learn Torah. If I just deal with all these things, my kids go to college, then I can sit and meditate and pray each day. Hashem's like, I understand, honey. I understand, but maybe we can make some special time. Maybe can we, 3 times a day, we can have a few minutes special time of intimacy, of prayer. Maybe on Shabbos, we can, Kabbalistically, a person should only have intimacy on Shabbat. That's really the goal. It's Yom Didishmasa. It's the day when you take off your clothes, all your desires for the week and the running and the money and the achievement and the accomplishment. And it's the day when I'm just davik to Hashem. It's the day of intimacy. Hashem's waiting all through history for 6,000 years for his wife to say, I'm here. Come make love together. I have all of the light in all of the world to pour into you. There's nothing, honey, there's nothing else which is more beautiful. There's nothing else which should be more magical. You'll love it. I know I've had a hard day. Okay? Hashem says, okay, I wait. I wait till Shabbos. I wait till Mashiach comes. Till we build a house together, Beit HaMikdash. The Kabbalists say that the map of the Beit HaMikdash is the map of a Jewish house called the Mikdash mat. And the table where we eat food, like on Friday night where we eat food and we eat meat and we have salt, that's the Mizbeach where we bring up the offering. But the Holy of Holies in the house is the bedroom. Kabbalistically, the Holy of Holies and the two Kruvim where they meet in intimacy face to face. The Holy of Holies is where heaven and earth kiss. The Holy of Holies is where it was a place where there was outside space and time, because in that place of intimacy, time falls away. You're running. I have to get to somewhere. I have to get somewhere. And then in the moment of peak climax of intimacy, there's just everything else is outside space and time, right? So that the bedroom of the whole house is called by the Kabbalists the place where the two Kruvim, the two angels, the masculine and feminine, they strip off all their identity from everything else in the world and they unite together. So that's called a house. A house is a place where the masculine and feminine meet of intimacy. And that's where you bring the animal sacrifices. You have to sacrifice your ego and your pain and your loss. Your husband and wife, they're not talking together for 6 months. I have complaints about you, times about you. Never do this enough. You used to do this more. I'm angry at you. I'm jealous of you. And then you have to shech the animal within you. You have to slaughter the animal and surrender that. A korban means you have to bring it close. I have to take all of these feelings and frustrations and shech them, and then bring myself close to source. What happens in the house, what happens in the bedroom is what happens in the Holy of Holies. The Jewish people, they have to bring offerings. They have to come forward. They have to bring a sacrifice of their ego to be able to step into intimacy with Source. Hashem's always there. Hashem always is waiting for us. And we're too caught in all our stuff to realize that. We're too caught in all our stuff to step into it. Of course, when we do step into it, then it's always like, wow, this is the best. This is the best. Devekas is the best. The Chagim are the best. Nevuah is the best experience of your life. When people try everything and they try psychedelics for 5 minutes and they blast out their body, they're like, wow, I understand that psychedelics are not chemically addictive. I mean, actual psychedelics, but it's psychologically addictive. A lot of people are like, I just want to do this all day. In the same way, low-level people, I just want to have intimacy all day because that's the most pleasure until you get the upgrade to spiritual pleasure. So Hashem is like, I'm here. This is what I created the world for. This is what I built the house for, is to connect you. When are you going to step into a life of Devekas? So this leads me to think of something that what's getting in the way of our capacity to connect, to give all of attention to our children, to give all the love and respect to our spouse, to give all our attention and pour into the Torah and let Torah pour into us. There's a good woman in the inner circle, and she said the other day, she said, she went through a very, very painful, difficult marriage. And she doesn't pray. She said, I don't pray that I should find my soulmate. It's hard for me. I said, try it. She said, try it. And I'm fine. It's okay. Why don't you pray? I don't know why I don't pray with this kind of stuff. And I said, close your eyes right now and just say to Hashem, I really want a soulmate. And the look on her face, she opened her eyes. Does anyone remember the word she said? I can't remember the exact words. It's like bitter, anger, sick, revolted. I can't remember what it was. It was just like visceral, visceral. It was so much pain that I can't even turn back to Hashem and say, I want a better marriage now because I'm just so flooded. This is what I wanted to say. There's nothing you want more in the world than connection to other people, to friends, to your lover, to your partner, to Hashem, to Source. And your channel of connection is so distorted, is so contaminated. There's nothing that gives us more meaning than deep connection and deep conversation, than the married couple being together in intimacy, than in Dvekas and in bliss. And every time you go to meditate, oh, I have to check my phone. Oh, I have to do something else. Every time a husband and wife come together just to share, just to talk, it's amazing. There's 2 weeks a month that they kind of intimacy. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't have any connection. That just means they have to lift up to the deeper connection, the soul connection, the talking and the trusting. Just to talk to many spouses sometimes, just to talk to each other. There's so much resentment. There's so much resentment. There's so much, I don't trust if I share that you're going to listen. I don't trust that you really care. I don't get to put down your phone and pay attention. The thing we are yearning for more than anything is to be in a flow state of deep connection. When you learn Torah, isn't Torah wonderful? Isn't Torah amazing? How many times you open up the Torah, then you're distracted, and then you're bored? The tikkun of Yesod is to clear the channels so you can give your full attention to give and receive. In any place where connection is strong and real and powerful, we often get shattered. We can't bring ourselves to that place. You know how many girls that would want to get married, they want to fall in love, they want to meet their shidduch, and they wait for years and they finally get married. I don't trust him. He's not enough. He's not this. He doesn't say the thing I need him to say. He doesn't act how he was. I'm really disappointed. It's like all their fears and doubts don't allow them just to step in. You want the relationship so much, but there's so much between you and them. You don't know how to take off the clothes. Klal Yisrael came to Har Sinai, and they spent 49 days. Midas, they're working on the sphere to Omer, right? Sphere to Omer are called the midas. Midas is also a word for clothes. For 49 days, you're stripping off your clothes. You're stripping off all your false giving and false fake kindness. And and then another 7 days, you're stripping off all your fears. And another 7 days, Tiferes, you're stripping off all your ego. You're stripping it all off so you can stand there vulnerable and naked before the divine. We don't know how to step into a relationship. We don't know how to step into a relationship. We yearn for a relationship. We're desperate for a relationship. We're lonely and fragmented, disconnected. And then we have someone to speak to, and we have so many projections. I don't like them. They're not enough. They don't listen, not what I need. And it's really because I'm insecure. No one will hold me. No one will hear me. We're in the middle of intimacy and we're putting our clothes on already. And when we stand before Hashem 3 times a day, we're mumbling through these words, and all we're thinking about is saying them faster so I can get to work, so I can get to the kids, so I get to school. Our mind is full of this noise. We put this noise in our mind. We allow ourselves to be consumed until we don't have pure attention anymore. The tikkun of Yesod, on a simple level, is to clear the channels of connection so that the light and blessing can flow through again. What stands between you and those you most need to connect with? What stands between you and opening up your heart to Hashem? Most of the work we do at Elevation is close your eyes and feel Hashem's love. I don't feel Hashem's love because I'm sick and tired. You know how many people I tried to love? I tried to love my mother, and you know what she did to me? Exactly. It's like you step into the bedroom to have intimacy with your partner, and you wear one of those knights in shining armor, metal, like all those defenses. You're stepping into a room to have intimacy, and you're putting on your the shining armor, not the complement shining armor, but all that metal and all those levels of metal and all that protection. We step into prayer and our head is full of ego and noise and lust and pizza and work and frustration and pain. And I'm checking my phone in my head or thinking about it as I'm going to pray. And part of us, you know, a lot of people, when you do that work, you know what? They find shame. Shem doesn't love me. Shem's going to reject me. I'm unworthy. Hashem's like, I want to pour into you. I'm ready, honey. I can hold you. It's fine. And you're like, no, you don't love me. I don't love me. I'm not enough. I'll never be enough. I'm not beautiful. My body's not beautiful anymore. I put on weight of chet, of sin, of guilt. I'm carrying, I'm not beautiful. No, I love you. You're my wife. I'm with you. What stands between you and connection? What stands between you and connection? There's a mechanism we all have when it's 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, we've had a long day. We feel a little fractured, disjointed, fragmented. And we all go online, we go on our phones, we watch TV, we eat a tub of chocolate ice cream or two. That's just a desire for connection. It's a desire for transcendence, to get out of my head, to stop the noise, to calm the mind. But it gets channeled in all the wrong places. There's a mechanism in human consciousness, a kind of reflex, a habit that's developed in the last few decades, really, 1 decade, which is I'm sitting there in the room and I have 10 seconds to myself. So I pull out my phone and I go online. Do you know why we go online? Because we feel fragmented and disconnected. So I go online. Any messages, any energy coming through, any new news, anyone saying hi to me or liking me or hating me or anything, because I'm so stuck in myself and I want to connect. You know, that impulse that I'm fragmented, I want to go online, is supposed to be I'm fragmented and I want to go online. I want to go into Devacus. That's what it is. After being fragmented and overwhelmed and depleted in the world, then I don't go online. I go online with a capital O, back to source, back to the source state, back to the light. So I hear these stories. I read an article in a magazine recently, in Atlantic or something like this, and this woman was saying that she's so addicted to her phone. She hadn't met this old friend she hadn't spoke to for years, and they were in school together. They were the best of friends, and they're now both high-powered women changing the world. And one's in New York and one's in San Francisco, and they got on a plane and they came together. She was so thrilled to see her friend. She was so thrilled to see her friend together. She said after 10 minutes of sitting there, she got up to use the toilets, and in the toilet she checked the phone. She pulled out the phone. She realized I didn't have to use the toilet. She realized that she was like, I just hadn't checked my phone yet. So I needed to then just separate from the connection to quickly pretend to go to the toilet so I could see what's happening. She said like she never realized like that low level connection is really a mechanism of disconnection because it interfered with actual connection. When we're thinking about Hashem and we start thinking about work, this is an Issa Derisa intimacy, to be a husband with a wife and a husband. And God forbid he would think about another woman during that moment of connection. And what happens is you bind that woman, the other woman, you bring that into the soul of the child, of the relationship. It shatters the dynamics at play. God forbid him or her doing that. Mystically speaking, why would you even think about the pleasure of your body in intimacy? Because the pleasure is supposed to open us up to the soul level of connection. And all this is a distortion of sexual energy. The worst thing to think about in intimacy. The mystics say that, I don't even want to use the word, but looking at intimacy online, intimacy is the wrong word, looking at the perversion of intimacy, looking at the physical act of intimacy, whatever the P word is, P-O-R, whatever that word is, such an energy in that word. It's the most destructing and dark force because you're taking the most powerful force of aligned elevated connection, and you're taking the energy of that power, that nuclear power, and you're trapping it in the most external form of it. Something I heard a few times a few years ago. I didn't want to deal with this stuff anymore. A man in marriage complaining about intimacy. It's not working, relationships. And then lo and behold, you find out they're also addicted to looking at this stuff. What that projection, once it's injected into their being, does shatters their capacity for transcendence and intimacy. Forget big words, transcendency, just for love, just for presence, because the whole thing is being projected with this dark, energetic distortion that's absorbing someone else. Has nothing to do with a sweet woman and his sweet soul and just what they can create. And that becomes clothes. That becomes clothes. That becomes blocks on actual presence of mind, of actual caring, of actual relationship building. It's a known thing. A person goes into the Vegas and all of a sudden they see that imagery they saw online 10 years ago. Oy Gewalt, Oy Gewalt. It's the Tzaddikim talk about this, that this idea of prophecy, that the one of the key things for prophecy is to purify your body of lustful thoughts. Because lust is saying that the most powerful energy of connection is in the physical act, and not just the physical act, the focus of the physical act as a physical act and not more. You understand? So to step into true hiskashrus, true connection, true shlemus, we have to divorce from the darkest force, which is the presentation of connection, mitlabesh, expressed in the most intense body somatic level, as look, it looks like this and it feels like that, and it's got that dark intensity to it. And that shatters the mind from prophecy. It shatters the mind from Dveikus. Because why does the mystics say, why does when they go into Dveikus or prayer, they can't pray because all those disgusting thoughts of that thing that I experienced, that thing that I saw, that a person saw, right? Why can't they pray? The answer is, listen very carefully. The soul says when you go into Dveikus, the soul says when you go into prayer, the soul says, wow, now the masculine energy is going to unite and divine light energy is going to pour into them, right? The soul is saying that. And then the body goes, oh, I know what that looks like and feels like, and slams the most physical version of that, which so consumes the bandwidth of the consciousness, it massively, instantly disconnects you from the Dveikus experience. Because the Dveikus experience, the transcendent experience, is the masculine energy bonding, is the transcendence, is the divine light pouring into. That's the Niv Sifasai. That's the process of Nevuah, is that. So when the soul goes, hey, this is masculine energy coming together, then when the body is trained and conditioned, God forbid, on the physical, low-level, dark version of that, then the body goes, oh, I know what this looks like, and then brings in all that darkness, which shatters the mind and disconnects us. But when we purify in intimacy, true love, true compassion, true presence, true connection, and we purify our body of all that history, of all that darkness, of all those experiences, then when I think about, listen to this, my gosh, when I think about physical intimacy, I attune and elevate up into prophecy. Because that's my energetic baseline. That's my foundation. This is one of the reasons that Shir Hashirim was the last book to be canonized, because Shir Hashirim, the Song of Songs, is literally, if you read the Art Scroll version of it, it's one of the, as far as I know, it's the only Art Scroll book where they said we decided not to translate this book literally, but more metaphorically. The reason they say that is because the book is literally a description of a man and woman physically making love to each other. There are many allusions to the whole body and the whole of that idea. Now, when you say that to people, like, oh, that's a bit rude and naughty of the rabbis that, they wrote like that. So that's exactly the point. It's exactly the point. When a person is immersed in the physicality of this world and they look on these things online, on the magazines, the Chas v'Kula, all these kind of things, they won't even go there and think about it. And then they hear that our sages talked about mystical things. They're like, okay, so we know what the patriarchy thinks about. And because we are bound with the energy of physicality of intimacy, and we are trapped in the darkness of how physical and fragmented and body focused and external focused it is, and how powerfully charged with energy. And then we go, Yeah, so like, so they hint to that in the sages, but the sages were doing the inverse. The sages were experiencing the prophetic revelation, transcendence, the living embodied spiritual power of it. And then when they look at physical intimacy, they go, wow, that is just illuminate. Now we're bringing the body level up to that prophetic channeling experience. Now we're bringing the intimacy of the couple's relationship up to a prophetic level of light. The man and the woman and the Shem and the Shekhinah and the beauty and the compassion as the Shem's to us. And as they are making love with the husband or the wife and they're doing that together, they are just flowing through light and energy, compassion and uniting worlds. So that the foundation is where is your foundation? Where is your default? When a person looks at the external world, it so captivates and traps the mind that they see spirituality as a metaphor for lustful sex. But when a person attunes to spiritual development and Dvakas and light, then they look at physical intimacy. First, they look at things online like you can't even look at that. I mean, it's just why would you take that beautiful light and blessing and destroy it? But what they see is, wow, you could bring your body into that light. We could bring our bodies together into that light. Where is your foundation? There was a certain designer. And I don't want to say the story out loud. Am I going to regret this? I don't know. There's a certain designer that was designing for elevation. And they designed all this design, and it was all very cold and clinical. They were English. I don't know what to tell you. They didn't get the spiritual side of it. So I said, look at this guy. His head's back, and he's in this ecstatic state. And look at this girl. She's in an ecstatic state. And like I was like, this shows the emotion, the power. That's what Dvakas looks like. She's crying, and he looked at me. I was going to tell you where this person lived. It's not in England. I don't want to say, but he looked at me and said, Rabbi, these are like, they look like they're, do I have to say anything more? And in my head, I was like, when you look at Dvakas, you think sex. When I look at sex, I think Dvakas. That's what I was thinking. Where is your foundation? Where is your foundation? Do I regret saying that? I didn't say it to him, but I just looked at him like, oh, that's what you see. That's what you see. But if you're tuned to the light, if you're tuned to prophecy, if you're tuned to release, if you're tuned to higher levels, you're tuned to masculine and feminine energy, how we all are just want to be released, and we all just want to be held, and we all just want to surrender, and we all want Hashem's light and love to pour through us and to be elevated to that bliss and higher connection. And we're allowed to be lifted up. We're allowed to be lifted up of this world, and we're allowed to take down our defenses. And we're trying to purify our hearts so that we can have that authentic, clear, vulnerable, naked, open, trusting point of connection. Point of connection. The generation's mind isn't clear enough to see that way, so they go, "Oh, sure, sure. Oh, the Vegas. I see. I see what these people look like. Oh, I got a call. I got a call from I'm not going to say who, from a famous guy. Oh, I see what those pictures look like." I was like, oh man, I see how you see it. I see what you've been seeing to see it like that. At the end of the day, I'm just saying something very simple. We are all depleted when we can't authentically connect. We are all seeking through all we do in this world for a moment of authentic connection. And when we have the chance to step into it, so much defense, so much projections, so much blocking us from the authentic, open, vulnerable heart and soul that it takes. So much noise from our history and projections from our lust and shame and doubt and fear and needing to control because I'm afraid to be vulnerable. All the things that just don't allow us to trust the light, to trust a lover in heaven. A lover in heaven who's there and waiting. So the work of Yesod is to clear the channels that open us. I'll say that again. The work of Yesod is to clear the channels that block our capacity for connection. And there's many beautiful channels to do that, to be fully present. We've talked about before, the present is the Das, and Das is aligned with Yesod. When you stare at another person, when you stare at your children, when you stare at your spouse, when you try and stare at Hashem, when you daven 3 times a day, what are all the things that are getting in the way of that don't allow us to connect, to create foundation, to have peace, for opposites to meet? Secular, religious Jews, we're shalom, we're shlemut, we're one people. When we come together, go Friday night at the Kotel and dance together, religious and the secular people are coming from America on a birthright trip, and the soldiers. Everyone hates each other, right? But we're all there in joy in a circle singing together, right? We get them in a dialogue another time, tear each other apart. But we sense that we want that connection. What's blocking our Yesod? What tumor have we absorbed? How do we clear our hearts to step into true connection, true alignment? These are my meditations for this time of year. I should purify and cleanse my heart so I can connect to Hashem authentically. Purify my heart so I can connect to you authentically, truthfully, openly. To feel that love, to pour into Hashem as He pours into us. Purify my heart that I can meet my spouse with love and respect and vulnerability and humility and just appreciate and value. Clear my heart so I can meet my children in their sweetness and purity, the way children look at you, like you're the whole of the world. Look back at them like the whole of the world with no other thought in your mind, and just love and appreciation with the full spectrum and bandwidth of your being. That itself energetically transforms them forever. I promise you can never say to your children once, I love you, but give them your full presence and they'll know it with all of their being. Connection is the most powerful force in the world. It's the foundation of all our reality. We have to lift ourselves out of the muck and reprioritize this in our life. This opens up all the channels, all the flow, all the energy, and it manifests all the good in this world. Zod Hashem, we should be zecher to tikkun hayesod, to strip off all our blocks, to step into that authenticity of higher connection. Thank you, my friends. Have a wonderful day.